but it doesn't make any sense within the scheme of this legislation.
The Honourable Judith Collins.
Chair, there's a couple of issues I want to deal with. The first is the issue around the Herald editorial that Mr Parker praised so widely. I just want to share with the House about that editorial. I actually thought clearly whoever wrote it hadn't read the SOP that I'd put in, hadn't read the press releases that I'd put out about what was in the SOP, and I thought, frankly, no matter what the sentiments, is that it was actually just wrong on a couple of issues. So I thought it would be a good idea to go and visit the editor and just go through the issues and find out what their concerns were. Well, apparently freedom doesn't extend to me writing a letter to the editor, because I wrote a letter to the editor saying, this is where I think you're wrong, I'm sorry that you didn't read the press releases, this is where there is actually an enhancement in the supplementary order paper to protect press privileges. And so I rang up the Herald when they didn't print my letter to the editor, and they said they didn't print it because they didn't like it. And I thought that was probably not that helpful. So then I thought, well, I'll go and see them and talk this thing through, because I think it's important. You know, they're a major arm of media. It's important that they understand my supplementary order paper, which I thought was addressing them. And I have to say, I'd worked on with Charles Chevelle, and we'd tried to get some agreement, and we thought we were doing well on that part. And yes, we want the Herald to understand what we're trying to do, and I thought it'd be a good idea. Well, and because I was in Auckland for 4 days last week, this is a good chance to do it. Well, could we get an appointment? No, we couldn't get an appointment. So I haven't given up, though, and the invitation's still there, because there's also the issue that the Law Commission is currently looking at some of these, the media regulation, and they're looking at those issues, and I think it's really important to engage with the media, particularly the let's say more mainstream media, around these issues, because we don't want to end up having legislation that doesn't get a broad agreement from the people that we're looking at, who would be most interested, if that's possible. So the invitation's still there to the New Zealand Herald editor. They're welcome to publish my letter to the editor, which would not have changed from the last one I sent them, which they wouldn't publish because they didn't essentially like it. They didn't agree with it. But I suppose I should have resent them a copy of my press release, which might have explained it again, what I'd already sent out. However, that's less about me, and it's more back to the bill. But the invitation is still there, and I'm happy to go through those matters with them. But Part 5 of the Search and Surveillance Bill is very much a technical part, applying the bill's general search powers outlined in Part 4 to search powers and other legislation, and also repeals provisions that are being replaced elsewhere in the bill. It's a very technical part. It's, however, also has a very important clause, and that's the final one, Clause 316. Acknowledging that the bill represents a comprehensive reform of search and surveillance laws, Clause 316 provides for the Act to be reviewed approximately 4 years after it becomes law, so that the Minister of Justice must refer the Act to the Ministry of Justice and the Law Commission for review by 30 June 2016. The review must then be completed 1 year after the reference is made. The bill is based in large part on the Law Commission's 2007 report on search and surveillance powers, and it's therefore appropriate that the Law Commission be involved in the review of the bill. The review will consider how the provisions in the Act have operated in practice, whether the provisions in the Act should be retained or repealed, and whether any provision should be amended. I think this is an extremely important clause, and I think is something that many people in the House, many members, will take some comfort from.
Members, we come to the vote on Part 5, but before we do, we have some amendments. The first is new Clause 237A and Clause 267 on the Minister's typescript amendments to amendment set out on SOP number 12. The question is that the amendments to the the amendments to the amendment be agreed to? Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. The party vote's called for. Ask the clerk for a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
34 opposed.
Green Party.
14 votes opposed.
New Zealand First.
8 opposed.
Māori Party.
3 opposed.
Mana.
1 vote opposed.
Act New Zealand.
1 in favour.
United Future.
1 in favour. Point of order. Can I seek leave to correct the vote for the Māori Party?
Leave is sought to correct. Well, we haven't
don't need leave.
cast the vote, so
2.
2 for the Māori Party. Members, the ayes are 61, the noes are 59. The amendments are agreed to. The question now is that that we have an amendment in the name of Charles Chevelle. No, sorry, we have the. Sorry, I moved far too quickly. The question is that the Minister's amendments, as amended, set out on SOP number 12, be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. Party vote's called for. I'll ask the clerk for a party vote.
New Zealand National.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Sorry, can I just seek clarification whose name those amendments are in?
No, this is the Minister's amendments as amended.
59 in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
34 votes opposed.
Green Party.
14 votes opposed.
New Zealand First.
8 opposed.
Māori Party.
2 opposed.
Mana.
1 vote opposed.
Act New Zealand.
1 in favour.
United Future.
1 in favour.
Members, the ayes are 61, the noes are 59. The Minister's amendments as amended are agreed to. We now come to Charles Chevelle TypeScript Amendment to insert new clause 276A. The question is that the amendment be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The noes have it. Noes have it. Party vote's called for. I'll ask the clerk for a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 opposed.
New Zealand Labour.
34 in favour.
Green Party.
14 votes in favour.
New Zealand First.
8 in favour.
Māori Party.
2 opposed.
Mana.
No vote, sorry.
Act New Zealand.
1 opposed.
United Future.
1 opposed.
Members, the ayes are 56, the noes are 63. The amendment is not agreed to. The question now is that Part 5 is amended stand part. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. A party vote's been called for. I'll ask the clerk for a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
34 votes opposed.
Green Party.
14 votes opposed.
New Zealand First.
8 opposed.
Māori Party.
2 opposed.
Mana.
1 vote opposed.
ACT New Zealand.
1 in favour.
United Future.
1 in favour.
Members, the ayes are 61, the noes are 59. Part 5, as amended, will stand part. We now come to the schedule. We have a Minister's amendment to replace the schedule set out on SOP number 12. Before we vote on that, we must deal with 2 amendments to that SOP. The first amendment is in the name of Charles Chevelle. This is out of order, is inconsistent with a previous decision of the committee. We now move to the Minister's typescript amendment to the amendment to the item relating to Section 68(1) of the Human Tissue Act 2008 as set out on SOP number 12. The question is that the amendment be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. Party votes called for. I'll ask the clerk for a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
34 votes opposed.
Green Party.
14 votes opposed.
New Zealand First.
8 opposed.
Māori Party.
2 votes opposed.
Mana.
1 vote opposed.
ACT New Zealand.
1 in favour.
United Future.
1 in favour.
Members, the ayes are 61, the noes are 59. The amendment is agreed to. We now have the Minister's amendment as amended to replace the schedule set out on SOP number 12 be agreed to. The question is that the Minister's amendment be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Party votes called for. I'll ask the clerk for a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
34 votes opposed.
Green Party.
14 votes opposed.
New Zealand First.
8 votes opposed.
Māori Party.
2 votes opposed.
Mana.
1 vote opposed.
ACT New Zealand.
1 in favour.
United Future.
1 vote in favour.
Members, the ayes are 61, the noes are 59. The Minister's amendment as amended is agreed to. We now come to debate on the clauses. The question is that clauses are point of order, Materia Ture.
Thank you, sir. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt the voting process, just to ask this question of clarification. Is it legit for the National Party to vote on behalf of the ACT Party when the ACT Party member is in the House and in his seat and available to vote?
Order. As a point of order being dealt with, the answer to that is yes, and I did seek advice on that matter, so that is in order. Members, we come to the debate on the clauses. The question is that clauses 1 and 2 stand part. The Honourable David Parker.
Mr. Chair.